The time is now 5:30 on July 29th, 2025. This meeting of the Midland Independent School District Board of Trustees is now duly open for the transaction of business or any matters that may be properly presented. If we all take a moment to stand up for a moment of silence, and then Ms. Messick will lead us in our pledges.
And now for our pledges. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
We have 5 present. Mr. Michael Booker is absent and Dr. Matt Freeze is absent. Both of them are on family vacations tonight, but we are a quorum. Verification of compliance with open meetings law. This is to certify that the provisions of section 551.001 of the Texas Government Code have been met in connection with public notice of this meeting. We're going to go ahead and start with public forum. So
we have Mr. Rick Davis first, then Mr. and Mrs. McAfee be after him.
Hey, do you want to put them on deck like Ms. Burleson had them last time?
Yeah, so we have 6 total. It'll be Rick Davis, Mr. and Mrs. McAfee, then Courtney Ratliff, Denise Norman, Jane Wolf, and Lewis Wilden, I believe.
Welcome, Mr. Davis. Thank you.
Thank you. Some claim changing the name of Lee High School was an attempt to erase history or part of some woke movement. Those claims are false. The truth is the name was changed because of a history that cannot be erased and should be remembered again now. When Texas voted to secede from the United States, its delegates wrote a declaration of causes. It makes clear Texas seceded to continue to enslave a certain race, and it disagreed that all men are created equal, proclaiming, "It is an undeniable truth. The African race is rightfully regarded as an inferior and dependent race, and only in that condition could their existence in this country be rendered tolerable." Those are the causes Texas wrote it was fighting for in the Civil War. What does that history have to do with a high school name? Everything. Because in 1961, the decision was made to name Midland's new high school after Robert E. Lee. Some say, but wait, Lee was a distinguished U.S. Army officer. Yes, he was. At least he was before he rejected his sworn oath to serve the United States. But his name was not chosen because of his U.S. military service. No, the decision to name it Lee High School was because Lee served as general of all the Confederate armies. That's why the school mascot was not depicted as a U.S. soldier, but a Confederate one, Johnny Reb, the Rebels. Its spirit flag was a Confederate battle flag, and its school spirit song was Dixie. Why? Again, history provides the answer. When such naming choice was made, we were smack in the middle of this national civil rights debate. And it was 7 years after the Supreme Court ruled it was wrong to segregate black students from white students, something Midland was still doing in 1961 and would do so for another 6 years. Yes, the naming of Lee High School was intended to make a statement, but not one anyone should be proud of. All of that history is why the name was changed and why it should be remembered now. Some suggest the school can now be renamed Midland Lee, and somehow it would not have any association with Robert E. Lee, why the school was ever named Lee High School, or all the school's Confederate symbols. But asking everyone to forget about the origin of the Lee rebels in Midland by now calling them Midland Lee rebels. Now that would be an attempt to erase history. But because of that history, that is a bell that cannot be unrung in Midland. And we don't need a poll to determine the right thing to do. In our democratic republic form of government, our elected officials are responsible for studying history and learning from our past mistakes, not repeating them or ignoring them, even when do so may not be the most popular thing to do. I hope and pray you will do that on this decision. Godspeed to you all.
Thank you, sir.
We are John and Karen McAfee, former employees of this great district, serving in many capacities, administrators, teachers, and simply supporters of this particular district. My wife was at Legacy, then named Lee, for 28 years as an instructor in orchestra. I served myself 25 years in this particular district in various capacities, from principal to teacher, to test administrator, etc. Having done that whole time that the school was named Lee, we knew what it was, but we also recognized that we were such a minority, 9% of the population, had very, very little we could do. But when the opportunity came, and not that I ever tried to pass up anyone that I was happy with it, because everyone knew at that particular point in time, I majored in history, so I had no doubts about how I felt about the name of the school. But I was not a rebel, and I'm still not a rebel. I want to, excuse me, thank you, President Hodges and the board for allowing, and Superintendent Howard allowed us this opportunity to speak on this particular subject. And I want to reiterate on the point Mr. Davis made. Some people stand name it just Lee High School. You know, Dr. Jeremiah asked the question in the 10th chapter in the 23rd verse, can a leper change his spots? Can a black man change his skin? People who are advocating for Lee are not changing it for the fact that it's taken away from the past of Robert E. Lee. It's simply a way to get around the idea that someone may think that they are prejudiced. There was an R&B group in the 1990s entitled The Towns. They had a particular song, and it's my response to those people who think that you can change Robert E. Lee to Lee and it won't make a difference. The name of the song was, What Kind of Fool Do You Think I Am? I also appreciate the fact that the board set up this meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. It lets me know that you are committed to the United States of America. So I'm asking the board, I have asked for one additional criterion to the board policy for naming facilities. And if I can pass this around to my wife, if you can just pass it up, make sure everyone get a copy of it. And it will be criterion 6. You have 5 already. I think my time is up. I can't go any further. So I respect the time.
Thank you all for the opportunity to speak.
President Hodges, Superintendent Howard, and Board of Trustees. On July 4th, Trustee Ginn made known one of his intentions for running for MISD School Board. A little over a week later, Trustee Freeze made known that same intention. Both gentlemen wish to throw this school district and this city into chaos. They seek to further disenfranchise the students that President Hodges so often reminds us are beneath the standard.
Mr. Ratliff,
Their economic
Mr. Ratliff, can you bring the mic to you a little bit more? We can barely hear you.
To put it plainly, they want to return Midland, Texas to the Confederacy. This is what they promised the voters in their respective districts they would do. I'm afraid that they were not the only two to make such promises, as others among you have been extremely quiet on the issue. Rather than boldly put your name on the renaming effort like Trustee Ginn, others of you could be backing Trustee Freese's effort to make a school name change a ballot issue that is paid for by the county. Let me remind you all of the two basic responsibilities of a school board: name schools and hire superintendents. It is unbelievable to me that some of you want to give up one of your two basic responsibilities, which causes me to ask the question, why do you want to be a trustee if you are willing to do, if you are not willing to do the basic demands of the job? I know the real reason why. Some of you do not want the stench of the Confederacy on your hands. History will forever judge this board for standing with the reasons that the school was named Lee in the first place. You will represent the board that told its students of color that their feelings don't matter, just score our points. And while some will make you heroes at Klan rallies all across the South, the world will see you for exactly who and what you are. And if you are allowed, and if you are so bold to show yourselves to the world in such a way, I hope you go all the way with it. Bring back the Confederate flag and let the band play Dixie once again. After all, if there's nothing wrong with Lee, then there is nothing wrong with the rest. Don't pass the buck. Go ahead and show the world what Midland really is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, trustees and Dr. Howard. I'm here today in strong opposition of the effort to change the name of Legacy High School back to Lee High School. The push is not about kids. It's not about student academic success, teacher support, or education. It's about personal pride and the desire of a few to resurrect a name that glorifies the Confederacy no matter how you try to make it an acronym. It will always mean Robert E. Lee in Midland, Texas. Midland ISD's history shows there was always a fight to do the right thing. Desegregation was a fight. Closing Carver Senior High School was a fight. Removing the Confederate flag as Lee's school flag was a fight. The KKK showed up to that board meeting. Removing Dixie as the school's fight song was a fight. Changing the name Lee was a fight, and apparently it still is. Keep the name Legacy. Focus on academics, reading, math, and probably history. I think we need to focus on history too. Focus on preparing the kids for the future, not glorifying a past that was never just. I hope that you do the right thing and not drag Midland, Texas back into the headlines for the wrong reasons. Some people in town are already ready to bring out their Confederate flags. This should not be what our community and kids have to endure again. I ask you today not just to listen to the loudest voices, but to remember why the name was changed in the first place. Let's honor all students. This is a majority Hispanic school district. Let's stand by our decision and let's keep building a legacy that all of our kids can be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you.
President Hodges, trustees, and Dr. Howard. My name is Jane Wolf. Although Midland has been my home since 1972, I was born and raised just outside of Richmond, Virginia, the capital of the Confederacy. Few people know the name of the President of the Confederacy, Jefferson Davis, but everybody knows the name of the commander of the Confederate Army. General Robert E. Lee commanded the Army of the Confederacy, an army of traitors, actually, fighting against the United States of America for 4 awful years. The intent of that army was to maintain the perpetuation by some people to own other human beings as if they were property, to be able to buy and sell human beings and their children as if they were horses or cattle or hogs or chickens. While Lee, or even Robert E. Lee, may not bother some individuals, that name is forever indelibly connected to the enslavement and ownership of human beings. That anyone would wish to revert to the name Lee for a public school in our fine community, knowing what that name represents throughout our whole country and much of the rest of the world, is beyond my understanding. Legacy is a strong, positive name, calling forth our best. May our legacy students continually build a powerful legacy, now and for the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Looks like there's a theme here. I feel like the whole thing with Lee, this whole name, you are dividing this community. There's no excuse for it. None at all. My name's Lewis Wilden. I come to you as a citizen. I'm an employee of the district. I work at Coleman High School. I am a history teacher there. And I am very proud to work for a school whose namesake is a local civil rights hero and not a school whose namesake is a Confederate general. You ought to look into local civil rights heroes for this. Who fights for the community, right? Now, in history, it's a complicated thing. You can say good things about bad people and bad things about good people. I'll give you an example. Abraham Lincoln, good person. But some people don't realize that in the Lincoln-Douglas debates, he actually suggested that black people and white people could not live peacefully together. But that kind of racism that he exhibited, like a lot of men did in his day, is nothing compared to his historical legacy, which is the 13th Amendment, the destruction of the institution of slavery, and also the war that he fought to end the institution of slavery. Robert E. Lee, let's say something good about him. He's a military genius. He danced circles around Lincoln's early generals with a smaller army whose soldiers sometimes didn't even have shoes. But he used his immense talent, that immense talent that he had, with deadly military force to defend the right of masters to sell your son or daughter away from you like cattle to never be seen again. What greater violence is there than family separation? He used his talent to defend masters using their female slaves as sexual property, with the offspring of such violations sold as a higher price because their lighter skin made them look more exotic. You want to get into the details of slavery? I'm giving them to you. He sacrificed 258,000 Southern men so masters could keep the right to whip the skin off of another human being's back. The use of violence to defend that is his historical legacy. And you want to shamelessly name a high school after him. And if you do, I hope you are there to explain to African-American families why that name is on their high school. What is this? Nostalgia? Feelings? This is historically nuts. Now, Robert E. Lee, using his military talent to defend an institution that kidnapped and enslaved human beings, is far more important than your nostalgia for the Lee name. This is not happening here. Stop dividing this community. Thank you.
Thank you.
I ask something of you, so the audience can know what my criterion was. Would you read the,
Could you
could you read the pamphlet sheet that I gave you, that I asked, the 6 criterion for naming schools?
yeah, we read it. It's,
Oh, I mean, for the public to know.
oh, you want me to read it out loud?
So I didn't have time to do it, because I respect your time constraint.
On July 29th, you gave us a letter that says, Dear trustees, after reviewing your guidelines, category, proposed recommendations for naming facilities, we're asking that you consider adding a 6th criterion to the local policy. The suggested criterion is as follows. 6, any person who has not openly advocated or participated in war against the United States of America. Oh, there you are. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number, and this is not on the agenda tonight. The naming the school or what have you is not on the agenda. So anyway, moving on to item number 6, the consent agenda. A, approval of board meeting minutes. B, the approval of monthly financials. C, the approval of the 2025-2026 MISD Professional Learning Plan. D, the approval of 2025-2026 T-Test Appraiser List. E, the approval of amendments to the 2025-2026 Compensation Plan. F, approval of the annual investment report for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025. G, approval of 2025-2026 proactive legal service and retainer program with Lesser Cross. H, approval of memorandum of understanding between Midland ISD and Communities and Schools of the Permian Basin, Inc. I, approval of 2025-2026 facility use agreement of Midland College Chaparral Center. J, approval of agreement between Midland ISD and Midland Teen Court. K, the approval of the architectural engineering firm for package number 11, elementary school renovations group D, which includes Bowie, Great House, Jones, and Milam, Peace, and Rusk Elementary Schools, as well as construction delivery methods associated with the 2023 bond program and authorization to execute an agreement. L, approval of memorandum of understanding with the University of Phoenix College of Education. And M, the approval of the following revised policy and new local policy. The revised policies being EFB, local instructional resources, library materials. EMI, local miscellaneous instructional policies, study of religion. FNCE, local student conduct, personnel. Personal telecommunications, electronic devices. CW, local naming facilities. New policy, BBB, local post-election procedures. Or any items wanting to be pulled?
Yes, Mr. Hodges, I'd like to pull consent 6B, please.
One more time.
6B.
Ms. Burleson?
I'd like to pull 6M, CW, and BBBB.
Said that.
CW, local policy revisions for renaming of schools, and BBBB, local, which is a new policy.
I got CW, the naming of the facilities, and what was the other one?
4 Bs.
Okay, new. It has been motioned that we pull consent agenda. B, approval of monthly financials. M, approval of the following revised policies and new local policy of religion. No, I'm sorry. Let me redo that. It has been motioned that we pull consent agenda item B, approval of monthly financials, and M, approval of the following revised policies and new local policy, specifically CW local naming facilities, and specifically BBB local post-election procedures. All those in favor of pulling those, raise your right hand. They're pulled, motion. Now, we're going to pull those, and so we are now going to vote on consent agenda A, approval of board meeting minutes. C, approval of the 2025-26 MISD professional learning plan. D, the approval of 2025-2026 T-test approval list. E, the approval of amendments to the 2025-2026 compensation plan. F, the approval of the annual investment report for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025. G, the approval of 2025-2026 proactive legal services and retainer program with Lisa Crass. H, approval of a memorandum of understanding between Midland ISD and Communications and School of the Permian Basin, Inc. I, approval of 2025-2026 facility use agreement of Midland College Chaparral Center. J, approval of agreement between Midland ISD and Midland Teen Court. K, approval of the architectural engineering firm for package number 11 elementary school renovations, Group D, which includes Bowie, Great House, Jones, Milam, Pease, and Rusk Elementary Schools, as well as construction delivery methods associated with the 2023 bond program and authorization to execute an agreement. L, approval of memorandum of understanding with the University of Phoenix College of Education. And then M, approval of the following revised policy and new local policy, specifically EFB local, instructional resources, library materials, EMI local, miscellaneous instructional policies, study of religion, and FNCE local, student conduct, personal telecommunications, electronic devices. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Those pass. Now, discussion, we'll move to the monthly financials on consent agenda B. Mr. Bishop?
Yes, sir, unless I missed it, Mr. Hodges, I believe I asked our school, the school board attorney, at one of our previous meetings that the interaction that the board members have called and may request or had meetings, that those charges be itemized, and I don't recall seeing that unless I missed it.
Is she somewhere on Zoom somewhere? Did she zoom in for this meeting? Okay. So if you'll bear with me, Ms. Blue will answer that.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Blue, can you hear us? This is Brandon Hodges.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I'm hoping you guys can hear me. Could somebody signal if you can?
Mr. Bishop, you can hear. Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Yes, I think we're on a little bit of a...
We're not getting you very well now.
Okay, in response to that, yes, every bill after the vote, I think starting with the June timesheet will be itemized.
Okay, is the bill itemized with who you've been in contact with, whether it was me or another board member or the district, and whether it was between Mr. Leeser and you as well? Okay, we're not getting you. Mr. Bishop, I apologize about the technical
Yes.
No, I mean, I'm good with it if she
Yes,
can reach
sir,
out to Dr. Howard.
Yes, sir.
or-
Starting with the timesheet in June and going forward, it will be itemized to who I was talking to and who's making the request.
Yes, if you can make sure you get that maybe tomorrow, just the billing out to Dr. Howard so she can get out to the rest of the board to make sure that Mr. Bishop gets the broken down, the hour rates on it. Anything else? Okay, moving on. To consent agenda, M, approval of the following revised policies and new local policy, specifically CW local, the naming facilities. Ms. Burleson, you wanted to pull that? Would you like to speak to that? Ms. Blue, stay on the line. I don't know if this is going to work very well.
I just have questions in that we have not discussed this and it hasn't gone through committee that I know of. Has it gone through committee? No. So I think that sometimes we're rushing through policies that have an effect on our community and our district without going through committee. And I would like to see things start going through committee and actually delving into what it is that we want to do. But if we're going to go forward with this one today, then I think that Dr. McAvee's amendment that he sent us is relevant for today.
Yes, ma'am. And so this was gone through because Dr. Howard and I spoke to this originally several years ago when the name was talked about, the discussion. There was not a policy for naming schools. So when Dr. Howard got here, they came up with a policy for, I think, with Mr. Bishop for the naming, if you want to describe that.
Right, and Mr. Cedillo can speak to that. So back in 2024, leading up to these three names that we just named, Lone Star Trails, the middle schools, we did not have a policy in place at that time. And so back in 2024, Mr. Cedillo worked with then Mr. Bishop, board president at the time, to
Yeah, absolutely. So upon our arrival, Mr. Bishop reaches out to me and asks, do we have a board policy based off name changes or naming facilities? And I look back and we did not have a policy on that. So he tasked me to start looking at policies. And so in August of 2024, we made a recommendation to put this current policy in place, and it was passed.
Right, and we passed that policy back in 2024, right?
Yes.
But now we're scratching out a lot of that and we're adding different language underneath this for different processes, such as polls, propositions, surveys, ballots, et cetera, on here. And
there was only one avenue or two avenues on the old policy. So in speaking to legal counsel, and I did talk to Kara about it, I said I wanted a policy that opened it up to give options going forward to future boards, more than the few options that the former board decided on their own. So we codified a policy, or looking at codifying a policy that opens up more options on that, and that's pretty much it. And so that's why we're discussing it tonight, because we can't be a walking quorum. So, but would you like to amend this policy to vote to include the language? Number 6, any person who is not openly advocated or participated in war against the United States of America?
sure,
So,
I propose that we add that to it.
So-
This isn't against any, you're not against anything, but we need to,
a motion to amend and add
Number 6.
The language
Any person who
6,
is not
that any
openly
person who is not openly advocated or participated in war against the United States of America.
Yes.
Is there a second? It has been motioned and seconded that we vote to amend and modify and add the language that was provided this evening to the new policy as its whole entity, as a 6th option. Any person who is not openly advocated or participated in war against the United States of America. All those in favor? Any more discussion? Well, there's a motion, so it doesn't matter. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Unanimously passes. So we will amend that policy. So, anything else? Well, let's do this one and then move to the next one.
I motion to approve the policy with the stipulation that amendment's added into it.
It has been motioned to approve consent agenda item M, approval of the following revised policies and new local policy, specifically CW local naming facilities with the modified and amended language to include any person who has not openly advocated or participated in war against the United States of America. All those in favor of the entire policy now, together, raise your right hand. Oh, I'm sorry, you're right, Tommy. Is there a second? It has been motioned and seconded that we vote to approve agenda item or consent agenda item M, approval of the following revised policies and new local policies, specifically CW local naming facilities with the modified and amended included language. Item number 6, any person who is not openly advocated or participated in war against the United States of America. All those in favor, raise your right hand. It is unanimous, it passes. Now, moving on to consent agenda M, approval of the following revised policies and new local policy, specifically, new policy, BBB, local post-election procedures. Ms. Burleson?
I understand the need for this, and I agree with it. I would like to add that we canvass the votes at that same meeting to just have one meeting. We have our board meeting, then we canvass votes, then you do the oath of office at the end, the canvassing of votes and oath of office at the end of the meeting.
My concern with that would be the canvassing has to be done within the timeline established by the election, by the, went blank, Secretary of State.
The Secretary of State.
Right. Those are not locally determined dates for canvassing. They have to be no more, can't be sooner than a certain date, no later than a certain date.
Okay, but if you
And we do have Stu here from Leisure Crass if we need guidance on that.
Okay. If we, so once you canvass votes, so if we canvass votes and we still have our meeting, then as long as they haven't taken their oath of office, then they're really not the elected official at that point?
So Stu, let me catch you up on this. So this was actually BBBA in May, where the board approved a policy related to our revised policy. At that time, it wasn't clear when board members would take their seat, and that was, there was some confusion with that this last November. And so we actually, Mr. Cedillo and I actually worked with our board officers to recommend a revision to that, to spell it out and make it very clear, so in the future, everyone knows when the seat is taken. So I think the question Ms. Burleson is asking, if they are canvassed within the legally required time, which we would do, the policy doesn't say stipulate that, they would be sworn in and take their seat at that December meeting.
That would be correct and legal. They do need those two things, ma'am. They would need to be canvassed within the legally required period of time, and then they would need to be sworn in before being able to be seated as an acting board member, ma'am.
Okay, so we'll canvass like we've always done, then we're going to have our board meeting, and at the end of the board meeting, we're swearing them in so that they're ready for the December meeting. I figured that the point of this is that they have the time to actually study the agenda instead of the next day to go
Correct.
into a meeting, so.
Correct.
Ms. Burles, I can speak on it. I'm the one that's kind of been on this since November, so if you remember this last year, we waited, and we ended up not getting the official results until after, I believe it was 2:30. Then we got our board packet, and I opened it up, and it's 350 pages, and we have a board meeting the very next night. That's why my first board meeting, I actually motioned to suspend or postpone, I think, a lot of the consent and action items, just because there's $1 million worth of stuff on there, and I just didn't feel, as a new board member, I didn't like the idea of getting sworn in on a Monday, then Tuesday night, you're at your first board meeting with 24 hours to review a 386-page board packet. So I think just for future boards, it will take a little bit of the stress off, I guess you would say, and give them a full month to actually visit with Dr. Howard and the other board members to kind of have an idea of what's going on. But I would think in the conversations we had, I think that's kind of what we're looking at, right? So in the November meeting, one of the very last things on the agenda would be swearing in the new board members for December.
Right.
It is a fiduciary duty for us to take care of the taxpayers' money, and it's fiduciary irresponsible to put somebody on a board with that type of money on the line and not have some type of runway for them to get accustomed to what the finances are and what they're voting on. So that's why we looked at changing some of the dates up on this, and it just goes back, it bolts on to what Mr. Gwynn had said, and the district talked to a lot of people about it. It's just a structural change that protects the district and makes the board better and stronger.
Yes, I just want to clarify that I'm not against it. I just want to make sure that when we were doing the canvassing and when we were actually doing the oath at the end of that meeting. So, thank you.
Yeah, I just felt like I owed it to you to kind of where I was coming from on it.
Anything else? Can we get a motion?
Motion to approve.
It has been motioned. Is there a second? It's been motioned and seconded for this board to vote on consent agenda item 6M, approval of the following revised policies and new local policies, specifically new policy BBBB, local post-election procedures. All those in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous, it passes. All right, consent agenda is now done.
I may have missed it, but did y'all vote on 6B?
Approval of monthly, no, okay. 6B we approved with the block.
6B is he pulled.
The financials?
He pulled the financials.
Oh, we didn't, okay. Yeah, we voted to approve it, yes, because you seconded it, yep.
Okay.
So are we good? Everyone good? Did I miss anything? Did we miss anything? I don't think so. So moving on to consent agenda, or moving away from consent agenda to the next item is agenda item 7, superintendent's update. Dr. Howard?
Yes, so I'll start with back to school. It seems like we've been getting ready for school to start forever. Can you hear me? Great. So we actually are 3 weeks to the day to our first day of school. Thursday and Friday, we bring back or welcome our new employees. This will be the first year that we include all new employees. In the past, that's just been new teachers, and we felt like it was important to include all new employees to that orientation so that they are welcomed into the district, but also understand the work that's happening in the district and what we're doing and believe in. August 4th, all of our teachers returned, so on Monday, many have returned in various capacities. Then we'll have convocation on August 5th. Meet the teacher for elementary is August 14th. That's also the same day that we'll have ribbon cutting for Lone Star Trails. And then, of course, the first day of school is on August 19th. Lone Star Trails is on schedule to open as planned and as promised as part of Bond 2023. The campus is fully staffed. The staff will begin moving in on Monday, and so we know they're excited to do that. And then, of course, ribbon cutting is on August the 14th, and so we welcome you and the community to that event. Leadership Summit back in, I was going to say back in July, but it's still July. I said it seems like we've been getting ready for school for 2 months now. But we had on July 15th through the 17th our third annual Leadership Summit. That's an event where we bring all of our district and campus leaders together, as well as our administrative professionals that work at both the district and campus level. So that's about 607 individuals that came together for 3 days of learning, training, networking, and then where we just basically lay the foundation of the work that's happening in the district and where we're headed for this current year. I appreciate those of you that were able to stop by, and also want to acknowledge our sponsors, Chevron, ConocoPhillips, Diamondback Energy, ExxonMobil Foundation, Midland Education Foundation, and Park Hill. So we seek as many sponsors as possible so that we're not paying for anything for that event that we can get sponsorships for. Also want to celebrate, and you've seen this on social media, we've sent this out, but our advanced placement results, we gave over 4,000 advanced placement tests this past spring. 43% of our students or exams had a 3+, and typically a 3, 4, or 5 is what is required to receive college credit, depending on where they're going to go to college or which university they choose. That's up from 234 a year ago, so we're really proud of those 300, or I'm sorry, the 43% is a 47% increase from the year before. 344 of our students were AP scholars, and that is up from 234 last year. 226 of those are AP scholars, 43 are scholars with honor, and 75 were scholars with distinction, which is the highest honor they can receive when they take that. And that's scoring a 3 or better on 5 or more exams. So you can imagine taking 5 of the most rigorous assessments that are given. We've been providing you updates, but the 89th legislative session was full of bills related to public education, a little over 100 bills that our team has been tracking throughout that process. And for the last month or so since this session closed, of course now we're in special session, but the team has been working to make sure that we're properly implementing those new laws, policies, many of which don't go into effect until September 1st. But just like you approved some policies tonight, that have an impact on us as we start the year. We're trying to address those first. And then, of course, we can expect more policy updates next month, and honestly, in probably the next 3 or 4 months as we work to update all local policies in relationship to the changes in the 89th legislative session. Quick staffing update, and I'll end with this. You have that information in the information item, but I just wanted to mention it because many times that's not discussed. Our retention numbers, that's something we've been working on since I came back to the district. We actually have the best retention numbers in the last 4 years. So we're proud of that. Through June, we had 342 resignations. That's 44 less than the same time last year, but it's 163 less than we had in 2022 at that time. So retaining our quality employees is really important. We retained 84% of our employees, 80% of our principals. Again, that's the highest retention rate in a number of years. And as of today, we only have 46 teacher vacancies district-wide. You think about around 1,500 teachers, 46, that gives us about a 97% fill rate as of today. So you'll see 95 in your report. That was the end of June. Where we sit today is 97%. So I'm glad to answer any questions. Otherwise, that is all I have.
Any questions? Ms. Burleson? Thank you very much. Oh, by the way, before I forget, will everyone do us a favor? I'll probably get in trouble for saying this. I'm probably against HR policy. It's Dr. Howard's birthday today, so can we all wish her, yesterday. So can we wish her a belated happy birthday today? Happy birthday.
Thank you. Nothing like them putting it out on social media for the whole world to know.
Bishop will sing.
High school kids would be proud of the likes that you got.
Hey, between me and you, we'll clear this room, baby. Yeah, 100%. It'll be Alice Cooper. Moving on. Happy birthday. Moving on to the district informational reports. Item 8A, the bond 2023 monthly report. Mr. Smith.
Good evening, President Hodges, members of the board. Dr. Howard, appreciate you allowing me to give you another monthly update on the bond. First here, the overall progress slide. This has been updated for you this month, as always. I did, before I jump in, want to provide you with a little more of an update here. Weekly, moving forward, we've got a lot of bond projects that have kicked off. 11 packages to be exact. While the monthly update is great, you will be receiving a weekly update in your weekly report from me on each and every bond package with all the work that has started. So be looking for that. The Lone Star Trails Elementary, like Dr. Howard, is still scheduled to open up in a few weeks. Teachers return next week and will be ready to go for kiddos. Terrazzo floor has been completed. Parking lots and drives are almost finished. I was actually out there today. It says on your slide deck that the playgrounds and shade sails are install is in progress. Those are actually finished. Those were done yesterday. So technology is almost completed as well, and our landscaping started a couple weeks back. Trees are in the ground, plants are in the ground, desert landscaping, the rock and so forth is well underway. The new high school's construction documents are nearing completion. The widening of Wadley and the extension of Avalon and Thomaston Drives is still under design. Y'all have already approved GMP number 1, and we plan to bring GMP number 2 to you in August. Our pilot furniture is scheduled to be installed next week. This is where your principals and kiddos will actually have the actual furniture that's going to be in the new high schools installed in our current high schools to test throughout the year. So that will happen next week before students arrive. And both contractors are mobilized and working at both sites. The graphics package design has started, as well as the landscaping design. It's close to being finalized, and in the process of selecting the CTE equipment that we have at our existing campuses that will move to our new, that process has started. Our package 3, made up of the elementary schools you see there, GMP number 1 has been approved for the fire sprinkler work. That work is actually scheduled to be completed next week at the 6 schools that receive that. Phase 2 construction documents are targeted to be completed next month. And then phase 2 of construction, that'll be the renovations to the facilities and the new front entryways at Franks Lamar and Houston, still scheduled to be completed in the fall of next year. And I spoke about the fire suppression system again that were installed. Those will be done next week. Happy to report that did come in under budget. Package 4, made up of Goddard and Midland freshmen. You can see the work that has been completed there. We did have our first pre-construction meeting held back on the 18th. And we went out for bid for this project 2.5, 3 weeks ago. We only received 1 bid for the project. We did not see that as being the best value to the district, so we went back out for bid. We opened those on the 24th, received additional bids, and we're currently evaluating those. And we'll bring in a recommendation to you next month. Package 5, Alamo, construction documents almost completed. Asbestos abatement is finished, as well as the pre-construction meeting for the annex building. That is scheduled to be, is scheduled to start next month, the freestanding annex building at Alamo. Package 8, scope to budget and schematic design is done, as well as, and it came back within budget. Design development is underway. The Santa Rita Drive, it says 99% complete. Asphalt actually finished today. They will strike the new drive at Santa Rita tomorrow, so it'll be ready for teachers next week. That entire project, package 8, still scheduled to be completed in summer of 2028. Package 9 of San Jacinto and Abel, geotechnical borings were completed at both sites. The soil samples have been collected. The Abel flooring, I talked about this last month. We pulled that out of the actual, not the scope, but the actual, that part of the package out and started it early. That work has been completed. It was done about a week ago. Full project completion still by the fall of 2028. Package 10, y'all selected Chapman Harvey Architects last month. They have been walking the facilities that you see there, and they're working on budgeting and schematic design for this package. Target completion is the fall of 2028. And then new package tonight, we recommended Vandegrift Architects tonight on the consent agenda out of Midland, which was approved. So we will start site visits with those architects very soon and target completion in the fall of 2028. So with that concludes my presentation. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
I just want to take a minute real quick. Courtney, thank you for being there on Friday. I want to take a moment to give a thank you to our partners, the City of Midland, that the mayor and city council and the city manager took time on Friday. There was a few things that had been lost in translation over the rezoning issue with one of our properties, and I believe that you would agree we got that put to rest finally, moving forward with it. And I just think it's not often that we get to say that we're coming together to make it better for the city and all the kids across the way, but I just wanted to give the city a shout out and say thanks for having that meeting and getting that cleared up for us so we can move forward with the construction on the roads. But
agreed. Yes.
I mean, it really cut into your golf time, I'm sure, on a Friday. We were blessed and grateful that you could give us your presence.
You're welcome.
So, now, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Anybody else have anything?
I want to say thank you for
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You bet. You're welcome.
Well, he'll spend it somewhere else. Don't be giving him too much props yet. It's not done. He'll just move it. He'll just shuffle it. Anyway, thank you. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Strategic plan and quarterly update. Ms. Piles, how are you? Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, President Hodges, members of the board, and Dr. Howard. I'm here tonight to provide you a quarterly update regarding the Strategic Plan Oversight Committee and talk to you about how the process in committee has changed as we're moving into year 3. Since the adoption and implementation of our new board goals seen here, MISD has aligned our strategic plan and regular process monitoring with board goals A through D. As you know, the Strategic Plan Oversight Committee, or SPOC, focuses on a 5-year strategic plan which stands on 3 pillars: student experience, grow and develop staff, and engage and act. Board goals A, B, C, and D all align with strategic pillar student experience, while goal D also aligns with our grow and develop staff pillar. As we begin year 3 of our strategic plan and the oversight committee known as SPOC, we felt it was important tonight to discuss our path forward. Consistency with our SPOC process is key to ensure we maintain momentum with monthly reporting, updates, and keep initiative owners accountable and keep the committee informed with current and relative checkpoints to ensure sustainability. This process also prevents our projects from going off track. I'm happy to report that SPOC work is on schedule. We have consolidated initiatives and reduced the total amount of initiatives this year from 28 to 24. New initiative owners and executive sponsors have been assigned, and metric reporting has been edited to align with updated board policy for the 25-26 calendar of SPOC meetings, and those have been scheduled. If you've ever wondered what actually happens in a SPOC meeting, well, each presentation is timed. Presentations focus on upcoming work with timely metrics, and the committee provides real-time feedback. At the end of each project update, the committee votes. Green means it's on track and no further action is needed at that time. Yellow may be on track, but specific information may be requested to return to the committee at a determined date. And lastly, a vote of red means it's off track or lacking important details, meaning the initiative owner will return with an updated presentation based on specific feedback they receive. These next slides are examples of efficiencies within the SPOC process, which we have made going into year 3. As you can see here, in years 1 and 2, initiatives 4.1 and 4.2 were very similar and used like metrics. School leadership previously owned initiative 4.1, and 4.2 was owned by the Guidance and Counseling Department. It's important to note that an initiative owner must work with other departments to update progress towards meeting annual metrics, as no one initiative is exclusive to one team. In this case, after year 2, we determined it was best to combine into one comprehensive initiative. So beginning in year 3, for example, I will now own Initiative 4.1 in school leadership, and I will work alongside guidance and counseling to report on our current progress regarding the implementation and effectiveness of school discipline strategies. After we determine initiatives and their owners, we must then align appropriate metrics. The newly consolidated Initiative 4.1 will use metrics from guidance and counseling pertaining to the MTSSB implementation and school leadership metrics, which total the number of discipline offenses related to mutual combats. And y'all have seen those in some updates I've done previously. So if I was to present this in its entirety today, like I would to the SPOT committee, I would share the slides on the graphics that are on this slide. These 2 graphics highlight the collaborative work between guidance and counseling and school leadership. And as you can see on the graph on the left, the district has continued its decline of mutual combats. After the 24-25 school year, the district saw a 51% decrease since the 21-22 school year and an 18% decrease since 23-24. The table on the right shows each campus's results from its annual MTSSB walkthrough called the School-Wide Evaluation Tool, or SET. MISD experienced a 40% increase in 1 year regarding campuses using MTSSB with fidelity. This includes campuses such as Bunch and Goddard, who were not measured in previous years under their 1882 partnership. So from these findings, school leadership and guidance and counseling would now strategize together to continue the positive momentum regarding school-wide expectations and student behavior. In conclusion, our first SPOC meeting for the 25-26 school year will be on August 21st. After final accountability is provided, updates to our success metrics will be finalized and shared with you and also posted on our website. And we will bring our first quarterly update back to you at the October board meeting. Any questions?
If we have a couple of questions, I'm going to shoot you and I'll send Dr. Howard an email.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 8C, tax collection and property value report. Mr. Durham.
Good evening, President Hodges, members of the board, and Superintendent Howard. This evening we have John O'Connell with our delinquent tax attorney firm, MVBA, and Michelle Bordeaux, the chief appraiser at MCAD, to give us a report regarding tax collections and property values. So at this time, I will turn it over to Mr. O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. Durham, and good evening, President Hodges and members of the board, Dr. Howard. It's good to see you all again, and thank you for the opportunity to present this tax collection report to you. As Mr. Durham mentioned, my name is John O'Connell. I'm actually the vice president for the firm, but I do manage your delinquent tax collections directly from my office in Abilene. We maintain an office here in Midland in the appraisal district, but I also have several staff members really spread throughout the state that work on collecting your taxes. With you being so mineral heavy, we have to bring in some experts, and they're not all located right here, but they are working on your behalf. Let's see if I can master this clicker you said push down. What I plan to do tonight is present you 3 different metrics by which we measure tax collections and delinquent tax collections, and then also give you a bit of a snapshot of what our process looks like. So this first slide that you're looking at, and I always tell Mr. Durham this is the most important one to me, is I want the district to be over 100% every year. And obviously, I think that's most important because it makes up your ad valorem component of your budget. And so what this means is it's the product of your current collections in a given year, the delinquent collections from a prior year, plus the penalty and interest that you get from those delinquent taxpayers who don't pay on time. And I should have mentioned this earlier. If y'all have questions about this, I know this is a little bit foreign to you, please feel free to interrupt me and I'll do my best to answer them. And I'm anxious to answer them if you have any. But anyway, what you can see is for the last 3 years, you have been over that 100%, and we're proud of that. Next, I didn't do that right. Okay, this is the supporting documentation for that chart that you just looked at. This excess proceeds, what this is, I refer to it furtively as gravy money, but this is additional revenue that you get, and I've broken it out over the last 6 years. What these are excess funds from tax sales that we perform. Really, it's a sheriff sale, but we do most of the heavy lifting for them. And what happens is, if a property sells for more than what's due against it, that overage goes into the registry of the district court. They hold it for 2 years and give the former owners or lien holders, if there are any, an opportunity to claim those funds. If they don't do it within those 2 years, then we can petition the court on behalf of all the taxing entities for that money. And so that's what this shows, is MISD's share of excess proceeds over those years that I've selected. And I mention it now just because that bumps that 100% up a tad more each year, and it's not attributable to current taxes, delinquent taxes, or P&I. Okay, cumulative tax collections. What this shows you is each tax year's total percent collected. Okay, and so this is obviously the current, and just to be clear, current collection percentages, and Ms. Bordeaux can speak to this probably more specifically, but 96, 97%, something like that. That's the percentage of folks that pay on time. And then here what you'll see is the delinquent taxes that are added on top of that to show you how close we are to collecting 100% of the roll. And we'll never get 100%. And also these numbers I should mention right here, these do not include penalty and interest because they're never going to factor into a percentage. There's 100% and there's what in our world is always going to be a little bit less than 100%, but 99.7 is good. I'll take it. Lastly, on these metrics, discounts current collections, and this just shows you the original delinquent roll that gets turned over to us, and I should mention it gets turned over every July 1, which marries up with y'all's fiscal year. And a couple of things I wanted you to focus on here are the fact that the longer that we have the roll, the more of it we're going to collect. Some people pay after we send them the first letter. Some people don't pay ever, and those are the properties that we sell. And folks just pay at different benchmarks down the timeline of the delinquent collection process. So you'll notice the fewer the months, the lower the cumulative percent collected is going to be. But if you look down at that bottom row, we've had a roll for 48 months and 95+% of the delinquent tax roll is collected. The other thing that I thought was kind of interesting, if you discount the 2020 tax year, which we all know what occurred around that time frame, the turnover is pretty consistent. About $8 million is what's coming to us. That's just school tax for us to work on each July 1st. And so I alluded to the fact that this can be a process. And so what I wanted to show you with this next slide is just sort of the volume and what the process consists of. So step one are notices, and those went out about a week ago. They go out every year in July. We electronically convert the tax roll from the appraisal district, and we send notices to all of the folks who are delinquent. We do that in July, and we do it in September. That hopefully leads to full payment, or it leads to the delinquent taxpayer getting on a payout, or they do nothing. And if they do nothing, then we evolve to step 2, which is filing a lawsuit in the district court to judicially foreclose the tax lien. That's what allows us to sell the property. And taxpayers that owned a property on January 1 of each year are personally liable for that tax. So we seek to impose that as well. And what you'll notice here is those numbers get progressively smaller. You know, it's kind of like a funnel. You've got the big number here of notices, and then it gets a little bit smaller. You know, we go from 204,000 properties to 1233, and then judgments, as I mentioned, that's us having a mini trial, and it's almost always just in front of the judge. Very rarely does anybody request a jury in a tax suit because it's a pretty cut and dried deal. But that's a smaller number than the suit because a lot of folks will pay once they're served by a peace officer. Going down a little bit further, I mentioned earlier with the mineral heavy nature of the Permian Basin and Midland County and Ector County, a lot of the delinquencies are on royalty interests or working interests. Sometimes we file a lawsuit, foreclose the tax lien, and sell the mineral interest at the courthouse steps, but I have found the more effective way to collect that is to file what's called a tax warrant in the court, and essentially what that does, assuming that the judge grants it, is it allows us to seize from either the gatherer or the purchaser the funds that are due to the delinquent taxpayer and redirect those to the appraisal district to pay those taxes. Once that's accomplished, then we would dismiss that warrant. So the notices are the precursor to the actual tax warrant that we file. Lastly, this isn't last one, but it's almost last. This is a report for you all on tax sales. We do 3 or 4 a year. That's our program. The judgments that we take feed these sales. And the trend you'll notice here is that while we may post a property for sale, that ends up being a catalyst for the delinquent taxpayer to actually pay it because we end up taking to sale quite a bit fewer properties than we actually post for sale. And then the last thing that's part of our process is what we have to do in the bankruptcy court. A lot of times delinquent taxpayers will avail themselves of bankruptcy protection. The effect of that is that if we have a lawsuit filed in district court, because the bankruptcy court is a federal court, it stays any action that we have in state court, and we pretty much have to move our lawsuit. It's not called a lawsuit, it's called a proof of claim, but we have to file that in the bankruptcy proceeding. So these are just some statistics relating to that. That concludes all my prepared remarks for you all, but I would be eager to answer any questions you might have.
I have a couple questions on this, and I bet Tucker he'll correct both of us on this at some point. But so on the bankruptcy litigation, do we know how many proof of claims that MISD is, and on the bankruptcy documents that goes into San Antonio or the Western District on it, how many of them are we currently involved in? Like how much litigation, how much bankruptcy litigation, and what's the total dollar amount, if any, that MISD is waiting to go through that process?
That's an excellent question, and I don't have that answer for you tonight, but I will get it to you. I just don't know the number. I will tell you it's not a large amount in relation to your levy or even to your delinquent taxes. But
what's our dollar amount on delinquent taxes?
Well, let me go back a couple of slides. This will show you by tax year what's remaining due. Y'all can see that, right? I did this.
No, I can't see it.
Okay. Well, it's slide number 6 in your packet, Mr. Hodges.
Right.
So for the 2023 tax year, so that was the tax year that was turned over to us in July of last year.
Right.
Worked it for a year. There is still about $3.5 million due. For the 2022 tax year, which we've been working for about 2 years, there's 1.2 million. 2021, 870,000, and 2020, 616,000.
So 3.5 million, I think, I mean, if you put $3.5 million worth of cash in a duffel bag and you said, hey, whoever wins the wrestling match leaves with the duffel bag, it's a pretty good amount of money. You and I are going to wrestle for it.
Yes, I think you'll.
So my question is, it's subjective. $3.5 million pays for some things here. So you had said that on our delinquent taxes that were like the ones that are in bankruptcy court, that they were less than that total, that $3.5 million. But is there a way, and Mr. Durham, can we break it down how many of those like are long game? They're going to be in bankruptcy court for a long time, and it's going to take a long time to get that, to see what the percentage break is, so we can essentially kind of not write it off, but that's a lot longer of a runway, I think, to get that than just, a lot of people forget to pay their tax. Well, they're, you know.
Yeah, that's a fair.
Josh will hide from you for a long time.
That's a fair point. What I will tell you, though, is we have a great deal of success in bankruptcy court because of the fact that a tax lien is the first lien. In fact, it's actually superior to an IRS lien. So when the bankruptcy trustee gets to shuffling these debts, and typically it's a smaller amount due than some of these obligations that a delinquent taxpayer who's forced into bankruptcy or voluntarily enters bankruptcy would also have to deal with. So your point is fair, Mr. Hodges. It may take a while, but our success rates are really good.
No. So the reason I ask these questions is for the perspective of the board. You can get really deep in the weeds on this. And if you're not like Tucker, you can get confused if you're like me. So I think for the board, this one and future boards, I think it would be, maybe we can codify it in policy where we would like to see, hey, what's our total amount out that's outstanding right now? How much has been collected? How much is in bankruptcy, to where you have 4 or 5 just dollar amounts? This is what we have. It's very readable and understandable and digestible for board members, I think.
I will get you that information, or I'll get it to Mr. Durham and he can distribute it to y'all however he sees fit. The other thing I might say, and another column, if you will, that you might want to look at are the dollars that are in deferral. Are y'all familiar with what a deferral is?
Say that one more time.
It's called a tax deferral.
Yes.
Okay. I think that would be beneficial for y'all to look at too, and I will get you that as well.
Because I'm a technology guy. I'd like to just log into a dashboard and be able to click and see where we're at. The other question I have, and this is, pardon me, you can educate me on this, and Mr. Durham, that what we're owed that they're still trying to collect right now, does that essentially work like a net loss, like a carryback? How do we, that's not negatively affecting us. Like if it's a loss, we've got 100,000 that's out, right? But no one's paid it. Does that go on the previous year, this year? How do we manage that?
Are you referring to the books? So on the books, it remains in a liability account for unearned revenue. And then after a certain point in time, then that just kind of is written off as a loss. One thing that I will mention, because delinquent taxes were discussed, so just to make sure everybody has a good understanding, current plus delinquent tax collections together is what directly affects our overall recapture amount, whether that increases or decreases.
Say that one more time.
So current plus delinquent tax collections together affect the overall recapture, whether that's an increase in recapture or decrease based off the formula. But those are the two different pots of tax collections that go into that calculation.
Okay. You might shoot that out in an email.
Yes, sir.
As a reminder. Cliff notes for us slow people.
Absolutely. If you don't mind, just for a few brief minutes, we'll actually go to the current property values so that the board understands kind of the historical property values and the certified values that Ms. Bordeaux just certified on Friday.
Perfect. Thank you.
If y'all don't have any more questions for me, I'll sit down.
You want to give up the winning lottery numbers?
I probably wouldn't be here.
No more questions then. Thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome.
Good evening, school board.
Would you
I'm kind of short. Let me move the mic closer to me. Is that better?
Yes.
And I can speak loud, so just tell me if you need me to speak up.
Scream at me.
All right. Good evening. My name is Michelle Bordeaux. I'm your newly appointed chief appraiser. It's good to see you all again. This evening, I came with a little bit of background history of an appraisal district and what we do, where we came from. So, centralized appraisal districts was a concept that was formulated by the 66th Texas legislature in the 1979 Senate Bill number 621, which is also referred to as the PVTO bill. So it created appraisal districts. Prior to that, you had each taxing jurisdiction that was doing valuation on their own by basically a percentage. If you needed 80% of the value of your local residents to meet your needs, then that's what you charged. So the county could charge 80%, the school could charge 85%, and then the city 90%. And so to equalize that, appraisal districts were developed. Funding began in January of 1981, and the first appraisal roll was due in July of 1982. The Texas constitutional principles to the property tax system is that taxation may be equal and uniform, must be. Property must be valued at its full market value. All property is taxable unless it's exempt by federal law or state constitution, and property may not be valued above its market value. All property in the county must receive a single appraisal, and there's a single appraisal review board that determines protests in each appraisal district. The administration of the property tax system and agency and officials, there's the taxing units like you, the school board, and the governing bodies. Then there's the tax assessor collector, and for MISD, that is myself. You have the appraisal district has a board of directors, the chief appraiser, also myself, and an appraisal review board that hears property owner protests. Outside of that, you have the state agencies, which is the Comptroller of Public Accounts, the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulations, as well as for you, the Texas Education Agency. Appraisal district functions are to appraise property at its market value as of January 1, maintain ownership records, administer exemptions. There's a whole host of exemptions that I've listed here. I won't go through all of them, but basically your general homestead exemption over 65, things like that. Apply special use valuation. Special use valuation is like special inventory valuations for different times of the year, or primarily what most people are used to hearing about is agricultural valuation. Agricultural valuation is not an exemption, it's a special use valuation. So it does not exempt the property tax forever, it is just a special valuation. And we produce a certified roll timely by July 25th. This was completed here in Midland County for the first time in over a decade this year. Your historical property values, you can see from 22 to 24, these are your past 3 years. From 22 to 23, you saw a 14% increase. And from 23 to 24, you saw a reduction, and you saw roughly the primary reduction for the school district is going to be due to new exemptions that were put in place by the Texas legislature that were passed in 23, affected you in 24. Currently for 2025, you're looking at a 7% increase in your overall taxable value, and that is including the projected new exemptions from Senate Bill 4 and Senate Bill 23 already taken into account. Outlook for 2026, there are several new procedures going into place for 2026 to help us comply with the property tax code as well as comptroller rule requirements regarding map reviews. Map reviews and property value studies are what can directly affect the schools and things through TEA. So we are updating our policy and procedures, getting on track with where we should be. We're adding additional staff training to make sure that our staff is properly trained when they're out there dealing with our public, appraising our properties, as well as handling your collections and your money over the front counter. updating appraisal and collection software. Our software is pretty antiquated and has been giving us quite the issues since we have grown substantially over the past several years with our property count. We're doing full coverage inspections in coordination with our 2025-2026 reappraisal plan. This is something that we've been lacking on, I believe, for quite some time, and I believe that there's missed revenue for the school district that we intend on working on and getting cleaned up over. It's probably going to take about 3 years to do a full county coverage to get the revenue that we may be missing off of the property tax roll for MISD. We're going to be utilizing software that's in place to update ownership and mapping records timely for not only our citizens, but as well as our other constituents and our entities that we deal with, the city of Midland, as well as MISD. And we're going to be implementing property owner-friendly payment options for multiple account payment ability. This is something that I believe personally has affected our ability to collect some of these mineral accounts. We have some online payment ability right now, but you have to log in and pay one account at a time. Any of you around here that owns minerals knows that most of the time you have multiple accounts. And if you have 3 or 4 accounts that are $3 or $4 a piece, and you don't want to pay a $3.95 convenience charge to pay that online. And you may not want to take the time to go down to the appraisal district to pay your $12 in mineral taxes. So we're going to make it easier for our property owners to be able to pay multiple properties on an online transaction without having to pay multiple convenience fees or go out of their way. So we're working to streamline the payment process in our collection department that's more property owner friendly and hopefully will help increase your revenue recovery up on the front end before it goes to the delinquencies. The other thing that we have done, I've put into place since I came here, is there were no payment plans being implemented prior to delinquencies to encourage the property owners to pay on a payment plan and get their things covered before it goes to the delinquent attorneys in July. And we are offering that to our property owners. Everybody's struggling right now in overall financial world in the United States, and we're trying to give them every opportunity they have to pay those taxes, get on a payment plan, and stay off the delinquent roll. That helps keep money coming in throughout the year for you so you don't have big voids, as well as helps our property owners that are struggling, and whether it be layoffs or just overall life crises. We want to work with them as best that we can to make sure that their homes are safe as well as your tax roll. So those are some things that we're working on going forward. I'm looking forward to working with the Midland ISD and continuing to build a productive working relationship. If anybody ever has any questions, concerns, or anything like that, please don't hesitate to call me. I work for you, and I'm here to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Anybody got any questions? No comment.
And going forward, I'll work with Mr. Durham as well as Dr. Howard, and we'll try and give you an update. If not, at least once a year. We'll do this twice a year as we're coming into the reappraisal season, so that you can see where your values are going before as we're mailing appraisal notices about April or May, and then we can do this twice a year just to keep you informed on where we're at.
Perfect. That'll work. Thank you.
Okay, have a great evening.
You too. Thank you for being here. Moving on to agenda item 8D, report on projected accountability rating, school improvement, system of great schools, and school action fund. Dr. Howard, you hit on us.
Yes, I thought state accountability was complicated. I'm glad I'm in charge of that rather than the appraisal district. So good evening. I want to start off and highlight the fact that this says projected accountability ratings. We're about 2 weeks before, 2.5 weeks before ratings are officially released. So these are our best projections. They are very conservative projections, but wanted to give you the information up front, and then we'll walk you through what this is going to look like over the next month or so. So starting with, on August 13th, we're expected to receive accountability ratings from TEA. They submit that to us through TIL. We're able to see that.
prior to it going public. Of course, this year they're going to be releasing both the 2024 and the 2025 ratings at the same time. And as you'll recall, they released the 23 ratings a couple of months ago. So 23 and 24 were both tied up in litigation, and therefore they're all kind of hitting at the same time. On August the 14th, we'll be sharing with the school board the actual ratings, so there could be some changes from what you see tonight, and then our campus leadership so that they're seeing their official ratings, not just projected. And then on August 15th, TA will release to public, as will we. We will release publicly to our community. Each campus will be sending a letter to families with their official campus rating, as well as what they're going to be doing this year based on that rating, just like we did last year. So even though 24 ratings were not released last year, last August, every campus sent families that information because we felt like it was important that they know that, regardless of the fact that the state couldn't release ratings. August 26th, we have our next regular board meeting, and that's when we'll have our official accountability presentation to the school board. So what you're going to see tonight, we have 37 campuses that are rated. We have 4 campuses that could level up, but we're showing you conservative numbers here because we'd rather show you a C that might be a B than show you a B that reverts back to a C or any other projection like that. So moving into this slide, you'll see the green. So any campus that's projected to be an A or a B is in green. If you see an up arrow there, that indicates that they improved a letter grade. So we thought that was important to see, so you can see the movement that happens even within the ratings. What I want to hit on as we move into these slides, in 2023, we had 7 AB campuses. We're projected with the 2025 ratings to have 14, and that is, again, as a conservative projection. That number could increase, so doubling the number of AB campuses since 2023. Also, what you're going to see tonight is we had 16 DNF campuses in 2023, and 2025 conservative projections show that we will have 10. That could possibly be reduced further. And so a 37% reduction in DNF campuses and doubling of the A and B campuses. So on this next slide, you'll see here the campuses again, that if they're in green, they're an A or a B. That's in alignment with your board policy. You'll see the C campuses starting to show on this slide. Again, we have a couple of campuses that are right on the cusp, and we are just not comfortable. We would much rather show you them a C tonight and then report they're a B in August than vice versa.
Can I break in? I want everyone in the audience and people that will watch online or what have you, when you see the red and the C's, we wanted it in red, the board in this policy, so we just were paying attention to it. Do not get, it's for the board to understand this, but we're moving in the right direction and we appreciate it. This is not to be weaponized and used against anyone, so I just wanted to make that public, that we're going to see some red on here, but a lot of it are C's, which we want to move to B's, but I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. And that's exactly what you'll see here on these 3 Bs that have the up arrows. Those campuses were C's last year and are projected to be B's this year. As we go to the next slide, these are C campuses. These C campuses, Henderson Elementary, leveled up in a big way, is projected to go from an F to a C in 1 year, and very proud of the work that they have done. The other campuses either were C's before, or some of the campuses did drop from a B to a C, and you can see that. Here on this campus, we'll start to see some of the D campuses. Again, there are 4 campuses here that move from a D to a C or an F to a D. And I want to point out here on De Zavala, this is a campus. De Zavala and Long are both campuses that are just too close to call. They could very well be a C when we report to you in August, but we're being conservative in reporting them this way.
before you move on, would you go back to that? And how would you want us to wait till you get to the end? There's just Idea Travis. I was wondering if we've heard from anybody from Idea Travis, because they need to be presenting to this board to let us know what's going on with them.
Yes, they actually present to us tomorrow, and then they'll be presenting to you at the August meeting. Then on this last slide, again, we have two campuses that went from Fs to D, or projected to go from Fs to Ds. And I want to point out that at this time, we're projecting only one F campus. While I would like that to be 0, and that is absolutely the goal next year, in 23 we had 9 F campuses. 2024 we had 5 F campuses, and we're projected to have 1 F campus when ratings come out in August. And then, of course, you see the Midland ISD rating here of a C. So based on this, one of the metrics that we measure as part of the System of Great Schools work, as well as the success metric within our strategic plan, is the percent of AB seats that our students are sitting in. Based on these conservative projections, we would have 8,156 students in D and F campuses versus 11,300 last year and 15,000 in 2022. Again, that is a conservative estimate. 1,400 of those are at Travis Elementary, which you were asking about. We're projecting 7,936 students sitting in AB seats, and there's a possibility, depending on how that levels up, for that to be over 9,000 students sitting in AB seats. But again, those are projections. The next thing I want to talk about is the A through F chain. So the ratings are one thing, depending on how campuses perform and the number of years in which they perform at a D or an F rating. Then there's what's called the accountability chain. There's been a lot of confusion around this over the last couple of years, and it's because 23 ratings didn't come out, and they came out. There was an article in the Texas Tribune that was later retracted, talking about Midland ISD being taken over by the state. There was recently an article in the MRT that was pulled from the Houston Chronicle. The 2023 ratings, it is indeed true that in 2023, Lamar Elementary was an F. And you'll remember that in March of 2023, when we presented to the board and made the recommendation that we move into a partnership with Third Future Schools, it was because we were seeing that trend that they were going to be an F, and we took action at that time. That night, there were actually people that, and I appreciate this, that said, we trust Dr. Howard, we believe she can get the work done, and I just say it's too late. We're in year 5, and the data is not projecting in a way that we're going to be able to get them out. And so had we have not gone into that partnership, those articles would be true. What I don't believe what I know those articles don't take into account is they don't always know what districts have done from a partnership standpoint. So if you just look at the count and the chain, you would see that. If you know more detail about the district, then you would know that that was not accurate. So what you'll see here is the consecutive years of academically unacceptable. So year 5 is where we cannot allow a campus to be in 5 unacceptable years, consecutive years. We have to take action prior to that time. So what we have right now, and again, these are conservative, we do believe that De Zavala could possibly come off of this list altogether, but we're being conservative with this, as well as Long Elementary could come off of this list. So we have 2 campuses in year 3. Both of those campuses are projected to move from an F to a D, and both of those campuses we actually took action on back in 2023. So even though the ratings weren't released, even though we could have, put our head in the sand and said, this isn't real and it's not going to happen, we went back to work on that right then. So Bunch and De Zavala were in planning this year, and they launched their school action in 25-26 in 3 weeks. And so I feel very confident that they're on track to be where they need to be. And that has been our commitment. I'll show you the timeline in a little bit, is to make sure that we're taking action in year 2. Of course, we're going to take action in year 1, but not any kind of formal action. It's just part of the plans, which you'll see next month as well. But I think it's important to point out that we do not have any schools in year 4 or in year 5, and we have none in year 2 as well. So shifting into the system of great schools, we went through the School Action Fund training, what was that, about a month ago, I believe. So back in August of 2019, Midland ISD joined the system of great schools. When I joined the district back in January of 2023, that work had not, I can't speak to why it had not been happening, but that work had not been happening. We resumed the system of great schools with in alignment with our strategic plan. And so we launched our strategic plan in August of 2023. We brought back the system of great schools work in September of 23. In November, we actually had the quality seats analysis, and that is when the work began on the school actions related to Bunch and Jay Zavala. I do want to preface that during this time, of course, boards are different, and at that time, it wasn't something that was asked to be brought to the board for approval, so we did try to communicate that. I'm going to show you in a little bit how we plan to do that moving forward, and also in accordance with your new board policy. So in January of 2024, we submitted applications. Jay Zavala and Bunch were interviewed by TEA, and then in 24-25, like I said, we went into planning, and we will launch that work this August in a few short days. So with the School Action Fund, this is a lot of words. I'm not going to read these to you, but what's important to know with the School Action Fund is we cannot just pick a campus and say we're going to move into School Action Fund with that campus. TEA has to tell us, and it's there in the middle, which campuses are eligible for school action. So just because we have a campus that our quality school analysis or quality seats analysis shows is trending downwards, if they don't qualify, school action funds are not necessarily an option or not an option for them. And then also in the 22-23 school year, when we were making these decisions, TEA gave us the options that you see there at the bottom, the STEM, college and career prep, or ADSE, which is additional day school year, were the only options to choose from in 22-23. So this is the board reporting calendar. This board reporting calendar actually comes to the board on August 26th. There'll be a lot of things happening on August 26th. But what I want to point out here, you'll see the first 4 items are August 26th. So we will actually be reporting information related to Goal A, the annual STAR report, the accountability update, the official ratings, Goal B and Goal C. All of that will come to the board in August 26th. In October of the same year, Yolton will do our annual reviews and reports of our 1882 partners. At that time is also for any of those that are up for renewal, contract renewal, or discontinuation, we'll make that recommendation. Or if we have an 1882 partner that is not meeting their goals and meets the criteria to recommend termination of that partnership, we can do that at that same time as well. So that is pretty much what I have tonight. We do look forward to bringing these results back to you in August. And I do want to just say one more time, preliminary for the record, you're going to see the next item that you have is the district improvement plan. And so what you're going to see when Ms. Bueno presents that is the plans that we have in place for continuous improvement. My goal is that we have 0 DNF campuses at the end of next year. And so that's the work that we're doing. That's what you're going to see in the district plan. And then next month, you're going to see every campus plan. Our campuses who are below a B will actually be presenting to you. They'll have a short amount of time to give you a very high overview of what they're doing this year to move their campus out of the rating status or to level up and move ultimately to a B. So I'm glad to answer any questions. Otherwise, I'll turn it back over to you.
Any questions, comments? A very good presentation. Thank you. You got questions, comments? Very good presentation. Appreciate it. That's it. Thank you again, Dr. Howard, and thank your team for putting that together. Next item. Item 9, action items. A, discussion of and request for approval of 2025-2026 district improvement plan. Ms. Bueno.
Good evening. Good evening, President Hodges, members of the board, and Dr. Howard. Tonight, I have the pleasure of walking you through the district improvement plan, process, and will request approval of the 2025-2026 goals, performance objectives, and strategies. MISD District Improvement Plan is in compliance with Texas Education Code sections 11.252, 11.185, 11.186, Board Policies AE Local and BBE Local. The District Improvement Plan serves as the blueprint for continuous improvement by aligning all district planning efforts with the adopted board goals and providing a structured framework for implementing the strategic plan. The district follows a linear process in developing the district improvement plan, beginning with the comprehensive needs assessment, then aligning board goals and performance objectives, and concluding with the development and district-wide strategies. The comprehensive needs assessment includes data trends from the past 5 years, data from multiple measures. Data is broken down into student groups, including race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, special programs including GT, SPED, at-risk, dyslexia, and CTE. Districts must compile all of the data, sort it, analyze it as they go through the root cause analysis process to pinpoint the need of how to make improvements. From the data collected, districts then create problem statements. Problem statements are concise descriptions of the issues that need to be addressed. Problem statements answer the who and what. And here's an example of a problem statement taken from our district improvement plan. Gaps remain in academic performance and growth, particularly among emergent bilinguals, students with disabilities, and economically disadvantaged students. Many students are not consistently meeting grade level expectations on state assessments or demonstrating sufficient progress toward college, career, and military readiness. Problem statements are then filtered through our district board goals to ensure alignment. The next step in the process, is to identify performance objectives, which are measurable annual targets designed to support progress towards each long-range goal. These objectives are written as SMART goals. These goals are specific, they're measurable, achievable, relevant, and they are time-bound. The last step in the district improvement planning process is developing strategies. Strategies are actions taken to accomplish a district objective or goal. A strategy can be thought of as the how to achieve the objective goal. If there are multiple ways you will achieve a goal, then there could be multiple strategies. Strategies include connections to be identified. Strategies include connections to be identified the identified needs when applicable to the federal and state requirements. The following are a list of strategies the district will implement to ensure goals are attained. I would like to highlight that the district improvement plan is a living document, meaning it is revised and reviewed multiple times a year. Revisions are needed as we collect new data, observations, collect feedback from the community. Informative reviews are executed strategies that are updated quarterly as well. The next steps in this process are board approval and required postings. And at this time, I am open to any questions that you may have.
I guess, thank you for the presentation, Ms. Bueno. I know this has to be approved by the board, but I guess going forward, you say it's a living, breathing document, correct?
Correct.
So if there's any additions or takeaways from these amendments, that'll be brought back to the board for that same concept of being approved, or?
So, and I can speak to that too. So typically the board approves the goals and the performance objectives. The strategies are really more administrative. So if we're working on a strategy and it isn't working by October, we may adjust that strategy, and that typically hasn't required board approval. So what we would be asking you to approve would be the goals and the performance objectives. There are some performance objectives that we need baseline data, so I do believe we would bring those back at the appropriate time.
Let me retract that. So if there's any amendments, I mean, other past what we're talking about now, that I guess it'd have been like a board update or one of your weeklies or something like that.
Right. But on the performance objectives where the baselines have to be established at the beginning of the year, we will bring those to you at that time, just as a revision or an update.
Okay, thank you.
You good? Mr. Bishop, you good? You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Second.
It has been motioned and seconded that this board take action and approve agenda item 9, action item A, discussion of and request for approval of 2025-2026 district improvement plan. All those in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous, passes. Moving on to the next item, action item 9B, discussion of and request for approval of the 2025-2026 Student Code of Conduct. Ms. Warner.
Good evening, Board President Hodges, Dr. Howard, and board members. I'm here tonight to discuss and request approval of the 25-26 Student Code of Conduct. The Student Code of Conduct is our district's response to Chapter 37 of the Texas Education Code. The Student Code of Conduct provides us with essential methods for managing student behavior, disciplining students, and preventing discipline problems. The law requires us to define misconduct and potential consequences, including removal from classroom or campus, out-of-school suspension, DAP placement, or expulsions. The 89th legislative session introduced several significant changes that directly impact our Student Code of Conduct for the upcoming school year. I'll go through those with you. Starting with House Bill 6, which addresses discipline management. Each campus will name a campus behavior coordinator, and this will be our campus principal. They are solely responsible for the discipline actions and reporting. Mandatory DAP placements for vape possession, specifically nicotine or non-THC products, is eliminated, allowing for a more flexible response. MISD already made this change in the 23-24 school year. Educators' authority to remove students has been expanded, including repeated and significant classroom disruptions. We have increased flexibility for in-school suspension with more allowable days and no time limits, but we will need to have a periodic review of those placements. That's required. A virtual expulsion program has been established for mandatory placements. That will be an option for us this year. Also, House Bill 1481 discusses personal communication devices. This legislation prohibits the use of personal telecommunication devices on school property during school hours. Devices must be off, stored, or left at home with specific case-by-case exceptions for documented medical needs, 504s, IEPs, or other health safety requirements. MISD adopted a policy regarding cell phones in the 24-25 school year that limited the use of cell phones during the school day. Additionally, Senate Bill 326, the anti-Semitism motivation, addresses anti-Semitism
and motivations for misconduct. This established new procedures for establishing and determining if a student's conduct is a violation motivated by anti-Semitism. These updates will ensure our code of conduct remains effective and that student management is compliant with state law. Thank you, and at this time, I'm open to any questions, and if there are none, I recommend the approval of the 25-26 Code of Conduct.
Yes, ma'am. I guess one of the questions I have is I understand that the law passed from a standpoint of what our governor has put before the school districts. So is it basically, I guess I'm reading and just looking at social media, I guess, from our neighbors down the road where they're having, I guess, no cell phones, period, I guess, even on the premises. Is that something, I mean, I know you mentioned some of the reasons that they could have their phones, but who's going to make that discretion on whether that person should have a device or not?
Yes, I was going to turn it over to our executive directors of school leadership to discuss that because they've been working on that.
Yes, sir. So the policy you passed earlier regarding the telecommunication devices is in reference to that law that was recently passed at the 89th legislature. So we have developed an FAQ for that. So just like last year, we restricted cell phones. They weren't allowed to have those out during the school day. That policy that you passed earlier today will be the same. They'll be powered off and in their backpacks or left at home. And they will not be able to use them during the instructional day.
Okay.
It's important to note these are all electronic devices other than the school-issued computer. As far as who's allowed to have them, that'll go through probably a 504 committee because those are medical reasons, medical exemptions. So those would go through a committee process.
Okay, and the reason why I guess I asked another question on that is because just reading through some of the, I guess some of the pluses and minuses, if you will, is where I guess some teachers have asked some students to bring like earbuds to be able to, I guess, to listen to whatever on their laptops or whatever. Is that going to be a discretion? Or?
So they will have their school-issued device. If they have some kind of modification to listen to something, text-to-speech, or if they're listening to a video within their embedded curriculum, they'll have those headphones at school that they can use. They can use their school-issued devices.
Okay.
But this is for all personal devices that send or receive messages.
And this is just students.
Can I bolt on a clarifying question to Mr. Bishop, just so I understand, is so they're going to have their own MISD issued device. So their personal smart device is to be in their backpack. It is not to be utilized at all except for these very specific exceptions, which would be the IEPs or a medical reason, right?
Yes, sir.
But everything,
Anything else is powered off and put in their bag or left at home if it's personal. And if otherwise, if they are violating those, then we'll have discipline measures that we'll put in place.
Thank you for clarifying. Sorry, I just.
No, that's good. One last question. So this only pertains to students and not staff?
Correct. The law is for students and personal devices.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there a push out for that to parents so that?
Yes, we were waiting on approval of the policy tonight.
Yes, we have a communication plan ready to go.
So I have two questions for you. One, in that new policy or the new state law, it says that we're required, they're going to be in their bags, and then their bags have to have a space provided for those bags. Am I misunderstanding that law or read something incorrect on it?
So there are options for bags that some districts do purchase, but we are just going to say it's turned off and put away in their personal backpack.
Okay. And then the other question that I have on that, and this is just me getting out of my lane, I'm just bumping up to the lane. But on the elementary schools, I understand, and again, I'm bumping the guardrails. It's out of love, though, that I asked this question. In our junior highs and our high schools, have we considered putting the behavioral contact a coach possibly? Because when I was in high school, which is getting longer and longer ago, the coaches were very impactful and effective in discipline.
So it will be the campus principal that'll be the behavior coordinator, and I believe it probably has to be an administrator. We certainly utilize all of our co- and extracurricular activities to help encourage students to understand the importance of behavior, and especially when they're in programs such as you're talking about, the importance of behaving and holding an even higher standard.
There was nothing like running when it's very hot outside.
Yes.
So I need clarification on the headphones. I'm not real clear on that yet. Because they use headphones a lot for their Chromebooks. So are we providing headphones for everybody? Because I don't know that that's in the budget, but how are they going to get the headphones?
So we do have a lot of devices on campuses already as students use them for curriculum. We need to probably work through what that looks like, but they would not need their own personal devices, no ma'am.
Okay.
As a parent with elementary age kids, I would strongly advise to look at that pretty quick, because that's actually on their school supplies list, is to have headphones.
Right. Yeah, we need to get some clarification on that. And correct me if I'm wrong, are earbuds an electronic device?
They are, because they can send, they're connected to the device, they can send or receive messages.
Anyone else? Do we have a?
Second.
This has been moved and seconded that this board vote in the affirmative or approve action item 9B, discussion of a request for approval of the 2025-2026 Student Code of Conduct. All those in favor, raise your right hand. It is unanimous. Motion passes. Moving on to action item 9C, discussion of a request for approval of the agreement for the purchase of attendance credit and delegate Chapter 49 authority to Superintendent Mr. Durham.
Good evening, President Hodges, members of the board, and Superintendent Howard. Prior to a properly wealthy school district being able to adopt their tax rate, they must submit the district's intent for their recapture obligations to TEA. This has been a standard practice for MISD dating back to 2013-2014 fiscal year, which was the first year the district was required to pay recapture. In order to submit the Chapter 49 contract through TEA's electronic system due in January, the Board of Trustees must also delegate the authority to obligate the district under Chapter 49 to the superintendent. Highlighted are a few critical dates of upcoming events that are directly related to the purchase of attendance credit. There are three components to Chapter 49 process which are included on the timeline. First is the district's intent on how the district will pay recapture, which is due by September 1st. The second is the approval of the agreement for the purchase of attendance credit, which will also include the delegation to the superintendent in order to obligate the district, which is due to TEA by January 15th. And the last is the submission of information related to the district's obligation to the Midland Central Appraisal District due in January as well. This graph represents the amount of recapture the district has paid back to the state since the 2013-2014 fiscal year. The anticipated recapture for the current 2025-26 fiscal year is right at $64.8 million, but is subject to change based on the district's final maximum compression rate and the additional homestead exemption set to go before voters in November. From the 2013-2014 fiscal year through the 2025-26, the estimate is right at $1 billion. And at this time, the administration recommends the Board of Trustees approve the delegation of Chapter 49 authority to the superintendent and approve the 2025-26 agreement for the purchase of attendance credit.
I don't know if they had attendance credits when I was in high school, but if they did, y'all need to raise my tax rates because I owe the district a lot of money purchasing my attendance.
You're on that delinquent tax collection report for
Oh,
that.
you, but forever, forever. Any questions?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded this board take action and vote on action item 9C, discussion of a request for approval of the agreement for the purchase of attendance credit and delegate Chapter 49 authority to the superintendent. All those in favor, raise your right hand. It is unanimous. Motion passes. Moving on to action item 9D, discussion of and request for approval to consider adoption of an order authorizing and providing for the defeasance and redemption of certain outstanding obligations of Midland Independent School District, authorizing the execution of an escrow agreement and containing other provisions related thereto.
Trustees, this evening the district presents the defeasance order to pay down debt quicker, resulting in less interest being paid by taxpayers. In March of last year, the district sold $900 million of the voter-approved $1.4 billion bond. Prior to receiving the bond proceeds, the district elected to move forward with an asset management firm, Hilltop Securities, to help manage the district's long-term investments. Currently, the district has approximately $740 million in treasury notes with an average yield of 4.78%, which is higher than current rates and the arbitration yield of the bond sale. This shows the diligence in managing the district's funds and ensuring we're fully maximizing our current investments. Two items to note before discussing the proposed defeasance in bond is bond funds and the interest accrued from the invested funds can only be used towards projects outlined in the November 2023 bond, and revenue generated through the INS tax collections along with the interest accrued from invested funds can only be used to pay back voter-approved debt. These two funding sources are separate from the general fund in which the district currently has a deficit budget. You cannot use either of these funding sources to help offset the district's general fund. Defeasing debt is when a borrower sets aside sufficient amount of funds to cover their future debt obligations. This allows districts to take debt off their books and save taxpayers money in interest payments, which they would have paid if they elected to pay for the total duration of the payment schedule. In September of last year, the board approved an order to defease and redeem certain outstanding debt obligations at a later date. This action item is directly related to the order approved in September. The defeasance order has a not to exceed amount of $22.5 million and is expected to save taxpayers approximately $12.56 million. This will allow the district to pay off all outstanding debt prior to Series 2024, while also starting to make additional payments towards Series 2024. Once the defeasance numbers are finalized, the district will ensure to update the board and community on the real investment savings. The Board of Trustees have previously adopted resolutions to defease outstanding debt and have saved taxpayers right at $92 million since 2012 by defeasing and refinancing debt. Once numbers are finalized for the upcoming defeasance, we anticipate saving taxpayers an additional $12.56 million in interest, which will be on top of the savings previously mentioned of $92 million. And at this time, the administration recommends the Board of Trustees approve the order to authorize and provide the defeasance and redemption of certain outstanding debt obligations as presented.
It has been moved and seconded that this board take action and vote in the affirmative for action or agenda item 9, action item D, discussion of a request for approval to consider adoption of an order authorizing and providing for the defeasance and redemption of certain outstanding obligations of Midland Independent School District, authorizing the execution of an escrow agreement and containing other provisions related thereto. All those in favor, raise your right hand. It is unanimous. The motion passes. Moving on to action item 9E, discussion of and request for approval of a resolution to opt out of participation for non-enrollees in UIL activities. Mr. Torres and Mr. Garza, welcome.
Good evening, President Hodges, members of the board, and Dr. Howard. I'm Wes Torres, Executive Director of Athletics. I've come this evening to request a motion to opt out of participation of non-enrollees in UIL activities in Midland ISD. In 2021, during the 87th legislative session, House Bill 547 was passed, giving school districts the option to opt in to allow homeschool students to participate in UIL activities. Under this legislation, homeschool students could participate in UIL at the campus corresponding to their residential address, provided that the district had chosen to opt in. Since the passage of House Bill 547, Midland ISD has not opted in to allow homeschool participation in UIL activities. During the 2024-2025 school year, only 46 out of the over 1,200 public school districts in Texas allowed homeschool participation. Starting in the 2025-2026 school year, Senate Bill 401 requires school districts to allow homeschool participation in UIL activities unless the school board votes to opt out. Senate Bill 401 states that the Board of Trustees of a school district may decline to grant non-enrolled students access to league activities at a campus of the district or school by taking a record vote that receives the support of a majority of trustees. If the school a homeschool student is zoned to opts out, that student can still participate in UIL activities at the nearest school that does allow homeschool participation. Opting out of homeschool participation in UIL activities allows us to maintain consistent academic standards for all participants, preserve program space and equitable opportunities for our enrolled students, ensure the efficient use of district resources, and address practice times inequities between enrolled and non-enrolled students. Participation in UIL activities for public school students is directly tied to their academic performance, which we monitor closely using TEA standards. To be eligible for UIL, students must meet the same academic expectations as their classmates, ensuring consistency and accountability across the board. Numerous studies have demonstrated a strong correlation between extracurricular involvement and high school graduation rates. According to the U.S. Department of Education, students who participate in extracurricular activities are more likely to have higher GPAs, better attendance, and are 15% more likely to graduate compared to their peers who do not participate. By opting out, we ensure that Midland ISD students continue to have every opportunity to engage fully in these programs, supporting their academic success and overall development. Managing the eligibility of non-enrolled students creates additional logistical and administrative challenges for our district. These processes require time, staffing, and oversight that place added strain on our existing resources. Non-enrolled students have the flexibility to practice independently during the school day outside of the designated athletic period, a flexibility that our enrolled students do not have due to their full-day academic schedules. These same considerations apply to our fine arts programs, band, choir, mariachi, orchestra, theater, dance, and visual arts, where the consistent participation and daily engagement are critical for student and program success. Choosing not to opt out of homeschool participation in UIL activities provides a financial benefit to the district. Under House Bill 3708, during the 88th legislative session in 2023, the district is eligible to receive an annual allotment of $1,500 for each league activity in which a non-enrolled student participates. While this funding helps offset some of the costs associated with including non-enrolled students in UIL activities, it is important to note that Midland ISD receives $6,215 for each student who is enrolled full-time in the district and attends 100% of the school year. As a reminder, Senate Bill 401 gives local districts the discretion to opt out of allowing non-enrolled students to participate. No other ISDs in District 26A allow homeschool participation in UIL activities. I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I request a motion to opt out of participation of non-enrollees in UIL activities in Midland ISD pursuant to Texas Senate Bill 401.
Mr. Bishop?
Am I to understand that this is just for this year alone, or is this approved or disapproved annually?
Say 2 years.
That is correct. So it can be brought up again next year. We're approving it for this year. That's correct.
Do we know if how this affects charter schools?
No,
it doesn't, does it?
This is just for homeschool.
Yeah.
Right.
it's just homeschool.
Yeah, I'm saying that if they would align the homeschooler with the charter schools, and they won't. Okay, that's all I had.
Josh, or Mr. Gwen? Ms. Burleson?
I motion for approval of the resolution to opt out of participation of non-enrollees in UIL activities.
Has been motioned.
I move.
Second.
It has been motioned and seconded this board take action. And read your motion again, please.
So what's on there? I move for approval of the resolution to opt out of participation of non-enrollees in UIL activities.
Okay, all those in favor of that, raise your right hand. Okay. All those against, raise your right hand. Motion passes. Moving on to action item 9F, discussion of and request for approval for the district to retain Chef and Stone LLP to represent the district in oil and gas and construction related matters. Presenter, Mr. Durham again.
Trustees, in January, the board approved the intent to lease certain land owned by the district for mineral development. After that, the district issued out an RFP, which was due in February, and we have been in negotiations since then. To ensure the district is negotiating the best deal for our students and staff, we are requesting to retain an oil and gas firm that has expertise in reviewing contracts to ensure they're in line with the market, along with recommending the firm to be utilized for construction-related matters as we continue working through bond 2023 projects.
And Ms. Blue, the board's attorney, also had sent out an email, a letter talking about using this law firm as well, that they're successful in this. Any questions on it?
Main thing is just want people to know this isn't like an ongoing expense. This is just very specialized circumstances for this particular oil and gas lease and the agreement with the city, I believe. Right? So there's no
we've gone out, and this is on me because there's been some legalities on it that we're, Miss Blue and then Leeser Crass as well, or Crass Leeser, specialize in education. We feel as though that we benefit the district and we protect ourselves better on working on, let's just say there's an opportunity for improvement on the negotiations on this, I think is the phrase.
An opportunity for specialty work, maybe.
Say that again?
Specialty work.
Yes, specialty work. So any questions about this to Mr. Durham?
I guess I've got a question, because I thought it was just oil and gas lease, but we're also throwing in all the construction as well?
Not all of the construction. There are times, so Leeser Crass, actually, they do have an attorney, or probably more than one attorney that does
Dr. Howard, I'm going to interrupt you real quick. Ms. Burleson, would you feel better if we go to executive real quick to talk about this?
That'd be fantastic.
Okay, so we are going, it's been so long since I went to exec, what do we go? We're going to executive real quick to talk, okay, hold on.
I think you would shift to item 11.
For the purpose of considering the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, or to hear complaints or charges against a public officer, or talk about our attorney, we're going to executive session and we'll be right back. Huh? What? Are we? The time is 8:08 on, what's the date? July
29th.
29th, 2025, and the board has just come back from executive session. Any discussion from executive session? I don't think so. We're all good. So we are moving on to action item 9F, discussion of and request for approval for the district to retain Chef and Stone LLP to represent the district in oil and gas and construction related matters. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. It's been moved and seconded that this board take action and vote and approve agenda item, action item F, discussion of and request for approval for the district to retain Chef and Stone LLP to represent the district in oil and gas and construction related matters. All those in favor, raise your right hand. It is unanimous. The motion passes. There should be somewhere we need to vote.
Yes, sir. So the next item is just information items. So those are information. And then the item 12 is to discuss and to consider the action on settlement offer. I recommend approval of the settlement offer as presented.
It has been motioned and seconded that this board discuss and take action and approve action item 912, action arising from closed session. All those in favor, raise your right hand. It's approved, unanimous.
Motion to adjourn.
It has been motioned and seconded to adjourn this meeting of the Midland Independent Board of Trustees. All those in favor, raise your right hand. It is unanimous. Meeting adjourned.
She's so mad at me.